I'm happy right now. I'm happy. There's no destination that's going to make me happy. It's called a goal. And that goal is a very large number. It's $1 billion minimum.
Everyone has a dream and a goal, and they think that it's too big or they're not going to get it. But if you don't go after it, you're never going to get the B.
If I gave you $5,000 a day, I would give you $1 million in about 6 months. Do you know how many days I would have to give you $5,000 to give you $1 billion?
All right, guys, I am so excited for you to listen into this conversation because we have the GOAT, really. I mean, Brad Lea, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for having me in your place. This is amazing. And just so everyone can know, Brad's actually interviewing me and allowed me to use his studio. So already, just thank you so much for your kindness. I was doing a lot of research on you, and I think anyone that hears your name, they see you online, they know your podcast, your following. But I love your story because there's a lot of people that are online, but they didn't actually build anything offline. They didn't build anything real before they started a podcast or started an online brand. And you and I have something in common, if the internets are right, that we both started in 1999. That's when you started. That's when I started my first business. So I'll always remember that. But now you have this massively successful online company, obviously created so much success and wealth. But I'd love to take it back to 16-year-old Brad, dropping out of school, all of the things you had to do to build that first million, because I think there's so much wisdom in that moment. So can you take us back to how you built this and what maybe it took and how long it took to do that first million in revenue?
Well, we would go back to 30 then, not
30.
16.
Yeah.
Because from 16 to 30, I was a little bit of a, hoodlum, not literally, but I say jack off. I don't know your show's audience. So
you can do it. It's fine.
I was like a little bit of a jack off.
Yeah.
I was, running. I was selling. So at 16, I got kicked out of my house because I didn't mow the lawn, and I told my dad I would. So he kind of kicked me out, which everyone's like, oh, but like, dude, I was 16. That was a blessing. I was like freaking excited. Like now I didn't have rules. So like any 16-year-old without rules, I dropped out of school, figured I'd go be a movie star. I just started running around. Went down to LA, auditioned, did a bunch of stuff, got tired of being broke basically. Almost got a starring role in a movie. Producer came out of drug rehab, or the producer's son. So as a reward, gave him my role. So ups and downs caused me to just say, you know what, I don't want to be broke. Let me go get rich, and then I'll come back and make movies. So I got a job selling cars, which I had some experience, obviously, growing up with sales here and there, but I just got a job selling cars. And then I stayed in the car business for most of that time. And then at 30 years old, I helped a guy, go from minimum wage to making money. And it just felt good to me. And so I said, I want to, start a training company. So that's when I really started this company, was back then, 30 years old.
Wow.
And I didn't make my first million in probably 6 to 8 years after that. Everyone said nobody wants to train online. The internet was just barely coming out. And it took me a long time to get people to understand the vision, understand the scalability, the reliability of our software. So I just kept plugging, and then eventually 6 to 8 years later, I realized, we're doing
onto something.
Yeah, we're doing 7 figures.
I think that's awesome to share because especially in today's world, I think everyone thinks it's so easy, and that in the first 12 months or the first 18 months, they're going to be profitable and they're going to be making millions. And I had similar, it took me years to figure it out. It cost me money to start a business, right? I was working for free. I'm sure you probably had similar in the beginning. So I love that you share that. And I read that online and I thought, you know what, back in 1999, you weren't just starting a business, like you were an innovator. Because I remember like computers were just coming out. E-commerce wasn't really hot until really like the early 2000s. And so I'd love to talk a little bit about, you touched on scalability. We have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the show, a lot of investors, people that are on their path, but maybe not where they want to be. Can you share about, from your experience, the difference that you think a good business and starting and building a great business, something that's scalable, that can build wealth, that you can eventually exit? Did you kind of engineer that in the beginning when you were building this company? No.
There was no real strategy other than, I think this will be $1 million idea. Ultimately, when I quit my job and went out and started training people, I've discovered 4 ingredients that I didn't really realize when I was working. So I was really good at getting people to sell. I could take someone out of a Burger King window, drive-through window, and teach them to sell cars and start making money. So selling cars was just what we were selling. I could teach anyone to sell anything. And I think sales is really the key to becoming successful, financially especially. But I was good at teaching people how to sell. So I had that ability. And so when I quit my job to go teach people how to sell, I just assumed that, it was going to be successful. The problem was I couldn't get the same results, and I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out what the problem was. I used to be able to get people and, quickly show them how to do it, and they'd be successful. Now they're not learning. It's not working. So I kind of compared the two, and I discovered that there was 4 ingredients to training that most companies, by the way, and most entrepreneurs have companies that are not doing this. But the 4 ingredients were good content, right? You have to have the right way to do it in the first place. The second one is repetition. Most people don't give enough repetition for anyone to learn. Practice and accountability. So you have good content, repetition, practice, and accountability. So once I discovered that that's what I was doing when I was working for an organization, I just didn't realize I was doing it. And when I quit, I took the good content out on the road and started telling people about it, but there was no repetition. There was no practice. There was no accountability, where before I was practicing and holding them accountable and repeating myself because I worked there. So I didn't realize it was because I was working there that I was able to do these 4 things. Right. And then when I was out on the road doing it for myself, I wasn't doing those things. So that's why it started to fail ultimately. And that's when I said, man, I got to figure out a way to do this the right way. And so I had to invent something because nothing existed. So a lot of people aren't aware, but there was no online learning systems when I started. Yeah. I built one to begin with. I'm wondering if there's ever any. I might be the whole founder of the online learning space.
We researched because I wanted to see, did you have a concept that you learned from someone and then you just made it better? But from what we found, you innovated this whole concept. You created this whole space in the market. And obviously anybody that innovates anything, when we talk about jobs or all these people that have created all of these new verticals within a certain industry, obviously there's a long learning path, right? There's a lot of mistakes. I always say mistakes and failures aren't the opposite of success. It's part of it. Mm-hmm. So you've probably made some along the way, because how couldn't you, right? You were creating something that didn't exist. Is there maybe something that you can share with people, one of your greatest setbacks, or something that you thought that, oh my gosh, this is going to be the end, and you ended up learning something from it that can share some wisdom with people listening?
Well, not the end. I was too naive to think that was possible. And quite frankly, I was really lucky. I called it LightSpeed fate is what I always called it. But every time I needed something to happen, I made it happen. So there was one time I had payroll coming up and no money. And if I didn't make payroll, which I've never missed payroll, but it was coming up quick and I didn't have the money and it was crazy. And sure enough, 4 days before, I pick up my phone and someone says, "Hey, remember me? Yeah, we were talking about six months ago." I'm like, yeah. Well, we're ready to get started. I'm like, great, and I tallied it up and sent them over an invoice for basically what payroll was. So it was every time I needed something to happen, something happened. So I was pretty lucky, but I never thought we'd fail and I never thought we'd end. I just couldn't understand why it was always 90 days away. So looking back, it's a good habit for entrepreneurs to break things down to where if someone would have said, "Brad, it's going to be 8 years of no money," and quite frankly, I was hiding cars so they didn't get repoed. I was behind. You said I didn't get paid anything. At one point in time, I quit. I had to go to work at another place job to fund this place, because there were employees here and the recurring revenue wasn't enough to pay them all. So I quit working here full time, and I went and worked at a car dealership full time so I could make, 30, 40 grand a month and paid the bills here.
Wow.
So not only did I not make anything, I paid. But hey, guess what? It all worked out, didn't it?
All paid off.
Now, some people were calling me stupid, but we've all heard that story. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people that should probably think about quitting what they're doing because they're running passionately in the wrong direction. And, you're just going to end up farther away and in not a good place. Just because you're passionate doesn't mean anything. You need to pay attention and listen to the marketplace and see what's going on. I just believed that the solution I had was better than any solution that was out there. And I was correct. And now there's all kinds of training systems, but again, they're missing a few key elements. So when people usually right now sell courses, they're selling a video. You don't sell a video, you sell a system. You need a system, a training system, not just a video. So a lot of people are out there trying to sell their videos, calling it training, when a video isn't training. Otherwise, I'd be a black belt. I watch mixed martial arts all the time. It doesn't do anything. So they need a system, and then they obviously need to know how to market it. A lot of people, they don't know how to market very well.
Well, you touched about naiveness, which it's so funny. Anytime that someone asks me about business, I said, I was just naive enough to try. I feel like that pays off, right? Like you have to be naive enough to start, but obviously you started figuring it out. You knew that you had something, so much so that you went and got another job to filter money in. Not a lot of people will do the action. What is one thing that business owners should be doing now inside of their companies to increase their revenue in regards to sales and marketing? Well,
I mean, again, it sounds cliche, but, increase their actions. I can always double somebody's revenue just by doubling their efforts. A lot of times people get stuck and they're inside the frame so they can't see the picture, to where they miss that it's the basics. So to me, if you want to double revenues, I would look at how many phone calls are you making? How many dollars are you spending in advertising currently, for example? And just double that. Most people won't do it though.
Yeah.
I ask people all the time, how'd you do last year? We're trying to do a little better. What was your advertising budget? Some of them say none. And I'm like, how are you not advertising? You're not marketing. But the simplest way to double your business is to double your efforts. Now, a lot of people are like, well, no kidding, but how? Again, like how many phone calls did you have to make the money you made? How many doors did you have to knock on? How many customers did you have to see? Because a lot of people sometimes think that there's a simple answer when they're not even asking the right question. Like sometimes people are asking me to teach them sales when they don't need to learn sales. They need to learn marketing. Their selling is fine. They don't have anyone to talk to.
Yeah.
And that's marketing. So if a business came to me and said, Brad, if I don't double my numbers immediately, I'm going to die. First thing I'm going to do is find out what they're doing currently or what they did currently to make what they're making. And then I'm going to figure out how to double or maybe triple that. So if I have 6 sales guys and they, on average made 50 calls a day, well, then I'm going to get 12 sales guys and I'm going to have them call 100 people a day. And I'll bet you anything, it'll double their numbers. And then when I'm done, they'll be like, oh my God, you changed my business. I didn't change your business. I increased your efforts. So that's number one. Number two, I would say train your people. Now, a lot of people think, well, he has a training system. He's just trying to get me to buy it. First of all, our training system for most companies is $300 a month. Like, dude, you're probably spending more on coffee. So it's not because of that. It's because an untrained employee will not outperform a trained employee. So if you want to do better, you must train people efficiently. And a lot of companies, like I said, they're not training people. They're exposing people. I'll bring in a trainer and have them talk to my people. And then the trainer goes home. There was no repetition, there was no practice, and there was no accountability. Why? For one, I was the guy that paid the person. So I wasn't there. Y'all were there. So I don't even know what he told you or she told you. So how can I hold you accountable? How can management hold you accountable? A lot of times management's not even in those training sessions. They're managers. So it boils down to effective training. Real training requires good content, repetition, practice, and accountability. Most companies aren't providing that. So if you really want to grow and scale your organization, I would say that you're going to need technology and people. Would you agree?
Yeah.
When do you think the most ideal time to get a training system? Before you hire a bunch of people or after you hire a bunch of people?
Before.
So again, train your people better, folks. That's how you double your business, double your income. Word of mouth, customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction. A better trained staff is going to outperform one that isn't.
Yeah.
I could give you 1 million of those of what would help grow a company.
I love those because I think that's something, like you said too, sometimes people think they have a sales issue, but it's a marketing issue. Sometimes they think it's a marketing issue, but it's a people issue. Or they think it's a people issue and it's actually processes, which is really your tech, right?
Or lack thereof.
Exactly. And that's one way you can always double your efforts, is especially because every organization uses people to some degree. So you need more people to service more customers, to sell more products, to grow your revenue. But what do you think it is about the entrepreneur that knows this conceptually, but some people just won't do the work?
Well, I think deep down, subconsciously, we don't feel like we deserve any better. So we sabotage ourselves.
Is that part of your sacred truths?
The sacred six?
Sacred six?
That's how you correct that.
Can you share more about that?
Well, deep down, people, like when people say, how do I increase my net worth? I say, increase your self-worth. A lot of times, people don't think they deserve any more than they're getting, which is why they're not getting any more. And people are like, no, I think this, that, and the other thing. And it's like they want to argue the point, but the point is it's subconscious. And subconscious literally means below awareness. So you're not aware of this. You can't be consciously aware of it. That's what makes it subconscious. So you're not aware of this. I understand, but it's true. And the reason why is from all the years of you screwing yourself over, procrastinating, lying to yourself, other people lying to yourself and you believing them, shitty parents, lack of parents, bad ex-boyfriends, ex-husbands, ex-wives, all kinds of reasons throughout life someone wants to feel less than. Mm-hmm. And until they correct that, they're never going to outperform their own self-image. So they have to fix it, and they fix it by fixing the relationship they have with themselves. And I developed a way, or I didn't really develop a way. I kind of realized what I did because I used to do the same shit. And the first thing I did is if you have a fight with someone or you're trying to, get in good graces with someone you care about, what's the first thing you do if you screwed them over? You apologize. Right. So that's step one, apologize. Step two, you commit to do what you say you're going to do. It's very important that you do what you say you're going to do, and you know that you will. A lot of people know that they won't, which is why they don't commit, or they just lie and know that they're going to let someone down later. But you commit to do what you say you're going to do, which is a simple decision. Then 3, you start racking up wins because you want to feel like a winner. I think confidence breaks down to the memory of success. So if you go out and you win 1,000 competitions, the 1,001st isn't as scary. You're very confident that you're going to take it down. So confidence is really the memory of winning. So if that's the case, then we need to win on a regular basis. We need to win often. So what is a win and who gets to decide what that is? Well, if you're smart, you get to decide what a win is. So what I say is lower your goals a little bit. Stop shooting for the stars from a daily perspective and just start setting yourself wins that you can achieve all day long. For me, getting up in the morning and working out is a win. Mm-hmm. Getting up and brushing my teeth is a win. Mm-hmm. Now people say, come on, Brad, anyone can do that. That's your opinion. I'm calling it a win. Why? So I can win. Mm-hmm. I want to win all day long, and I get to decide what winning looks like. So I'm going to, and by the way, some people could say, hey, I'm going to drink a beer. That's a win. Well, again, you want to lie to yourself,
right?
but because it could be a win. It really could be a win. If, let's say, your personality comes out after you drink one beer and you're 10 times more successful. But my point is we can lie to ourselves, or we can commit to do what we say we're going to do and then start racking up wins, things that move us forward. They don't have to be big. So that way, as the day progresses, I just feel better and better about myself. And as time progresses and I start racking up wins every day, months go by, and pretty soon, I feel more like a winner because I'm winning a lot, and I'm consciously aware of that I'm winning. I'm a winner. So you start to sit up a little taller, and you start to actually feel like you deserve more, which is going to seem weird. And what's crazy is people will come out of the woodwork and tell you that you're wrong, you're arrogant. Who are you? Like, you didn't even graduate. Like, what is your problem? And, oh, you believe this guru on the internet, now you're going to be cool. So all these people will come out of the woodwork and try to pull you back in.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, same reason. They're projecting their self-doubt on you usually. And not only that, again, people say they want you to do well, but they don't want you to do better than them.
Amen to that.
So all these people come out of the woodwork and start affecting your ability to remain in that flow. So that's step 4, which is eliminate all the negativity. Like, you literally should see who you hang around. And if they are not supportive and they are negative, get rid of them. Someone says, well, what if it's my wife? What if it's my husband? What if it's my mom and my dad? I don't care who it is. Make a choice. That's all. Again, I don't blame you if you choose your wife. Hey, my wife's more important than my success. Okay. Well, then shut the fuck up and sit down. Yeah. Okay. Go do what your wife tells you to do. Quit listening to me. Yeah. But if you want to be successful and your wife is negative, you should cut her out. Now, I'm not talking about divorce. I'm talking about mental recognition of what she's saying. Yeah. And if she was negative enough, I would divorce someone like that. But that's just me. This isn't, advice to divorce people. This is advice to use your brain and realize when someone's being negative, you got to block it out. You can't accept it. You don't let it in your head, because what you plant grows. Your mind is very similar to the ground. Soil. If you plant corn, what do you think's coming up?
Corn.
Okay, so you have to watch what's being planted in your head. When I'm telling you every day, who do you think you are? You think you're so special, all these things. And a lot of times they're not even negative. We hear, maybe it's time you should try something else. You've given this quite some time. Don't you think you might want to look at some other things?
Right.
How long are you going to do this for? Like, it doesn't sound negative.
Everyone's heard these things.
But I mean, it doesn't sound negative.
Right.
So don't listen for just the mean negativity.
Right.
Just listen and pay attention, because people will come out and they will be not supportive and encouraging. They will be, and you can feel it too, by the way. So get rid of them. That's step 4. And then step 5 is obviously to map out and visualize on a regular basis where it is you think you're going. Because a lot of people, Candy, they don't know where they're going in the first place. Like, when I say, what does success look like to you? People go, and the reason they're looking up and they're thinking about it is because they don't often think about it. Well, how are you out looking for something that you don't think about?
How are you ever going to know that you're going to get there if you don't know what you're looking for?
What does it look like?
Yeah.
So pay attention, map it out, and visualize it every day so you know exactly what it looks like, and then run a very simple filter on life, which is, does this move me towards or away? That's it. It's as simple as that. Does that water, drinking that water, does that move you towards your goals or away from your goals?
It does.
And
That's why I drink it.
It is one
Instead
or
of
the other.
champagne that I wanted.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? It's one or the other. It moves
other.
you towards your goal or away from your goal. Sometimes your goal might be to get drunk, so a champagne bottle
would work.
So you map out and you visualize, and then step 6 is you seek new information. New information is the key, because the reason we get what we have is because we do what we do. And the reason we do what we do is because we believe what we believe. So in order to change what we're doing, right, we have to change what we believe. Is the reason you do what you do is because you believe what you believe. Yeah. So in order to change what you do, you have to change what you believe. And most people don't get that. So how do you change what you believe? There's only one way to change your beliefs, and that is to get new information. Like right now, you could have a strong belief in Jesus, let's say. And then someone comes along and gives you new information where you stop believing it. Well, that's how you changed your belief, because you got new information. If you never got that new information, you would never have changed your belief. So in order to change your actions, you have to change your beliefs. In order to change your beliefs, you have to get new information. So in my mind, I just started consuming information on a regular basis. Like every single day, I'm reading or listening to something so I can get new information. And I'm doing it consciously. Like I want new information. That's why I'm reading this book. I want new information. That's why I'm listening to this podcast. Mm-hmm. What's new? I want something new. And remember, if you're talking, it's not going to be new.
Right.
That's what most people don't understand either. Like if you're doing all the talking, like right now, I already know what I'm telling you.
Right.
If I really wanted to learn something, I wouldn't be talking. I'd be listening, because that's how you learn. So anyway, you get new information and you do all those 6 things over a period of time, and you're going to change and you're going to improve and you're going to start to open up and realize that, much more is possible, and that you deserve a lot more than you're getting and that you've gotten. And pretty soon people, and it's just a cycle. Then people will say, oh, no, she used to be so sweet. Now she's a bitch. And it's like, just keep doing it over and over and over. And I've never stopped those 6. Mm. I do it every day.
That noise that you hear, just like you said, oh, who does he think he is? Do you have a way to filter out that noise? Mm-hmm. Are you just so good at it? Or what's your process?
Well, I don't get any of it. Everybody loves me. I just use common sense. I mean, if you think about it, you can't make everyone happy. Mm-hmm. And anyone with a brain in their head would agree. You can't make everyone happy. So if you can't make everyone happy, well, then you have to pick who you're going to make happy. You're going to make your wife happy. You're going to make your mom happy. You're going to make your dad happy. You're going to make your kids happy. Who are you going to make happy?
Yeah.
So you have to choose. But what they don't tell you is that you are an option. Mm. So I choose me, because if I'm not happy, nobody is.
That's the truth.
So guess what? I have to be happy if I want all my loved ones happy. Mm-hmm. If I'm not happy, nobody's happy. Yeah. So I'm choosing me to be happy. So when someone talks shit, I realize that, number one, they don't know me, because if they did, they wouldn't talk shit. And number 2, can't make everyone happy. So it doesn't bother me at all, because like, I can't make everyone happy. Am I happy? Yeah, I'm happy. Well, then who cares what they're saying?
Yeah.
I don't, personally. Now, a lot of people mistake that, because of course I want to be liked. Of course I want everybody to like me and think I'm funny and all this and all that. But if they don't, I'm not affected.
Right.
Other people, they crave wanting to be liked and needed and respected. And if they're not, it destroys them.
Yeah.
That's because they don't realize that they're an option. Like, you can choose you to be happy. What do you think people would say if I said, I'm number 1 in the world to me? I'm the most important person in my life. How does that sound to you?
Well, to me, I mean, I think other people would be like, oh my gosh, is his kid's not important?
I can't believe he said that.
I'd
hate to be married to that guy.
Right. Yeah.
That's my point. Like, dude, right. They're wrong. They're incorrect. You should be the most important person in your life.
And when you think about it, like anyone, especially people that have kids, if you're, I don't know about your family situation, but like with me, if my dad would have been happier, of course, your childhood's happier. If your mom's happier, your childhood's happier. So you become then a product of that environment. Because otherwise, if you grew up in a horrible environment where nobody is happy, then you just perpetuate that for years until you realize that you're repeating a pattern. But if you grow up in a happy environment, then you're going to go seek the happy environment. So I love that you said that, because it's important. It's not selfish. You're actually doing it for other people that you care about so that they can have a happy life and a happy experience. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, like, dude, think about it. If you really, really want to care so much about others, care for yourself more.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you want to get more, coincidentally, you give more.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, it's so ironic. Like, to get more, I have to give more. That makes no sense. It is a little bit, ironic, but that's the truth. You want more, give more. If you want to have other people like you better, like yourself better.
Yeah. What makes you happy now? I mean, you've achieved all of this. You've built the big company. You seem like a really happy guy. What are you doing all of this for still?
Well, because I'm still not where I want to be. Just like, if I get up in the morning, to head to the bathroom. I don't stop in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I continue to go where I'm going. Why? Well, because I don't want to piss in the kitchen. But, at the end of the day, I have more to do. I'm nowhere near where I wanted to be. I naively assumed I'd be so much farther ahead than where I'm actually at. Now, a lot of people will say, well, Brad, that's being a little bit selfish and ungrateful and blah, 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 blah. But again, it goes back to what I said earlier. I don't care what they're saying. In relation to the potential, I'm nowhere near where I should have been, could have been, and need to be. So when you say what keeps me going, dude, I'm going here. And until I get there, I'm not stopping unless I die. Mm-hmm. And if I die, someone will be like, oh, it was so sad. He was never happy his whole life. I'm happy every day.
Yeah.
I'm happy right now. If I died right now, I'm happy. Number one, I believe we choose happiness. You don't find it. You choose it. And how do I know this? Well, because you could put two people in a very bad situation with the right perspective, someone could be thankful for it.
Yeah.
I used to remember someone said, I was upset that I had no shoes until I met a man with no feet. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
So I'm happy right now. I'm happy. There's no destination that's going to make me happy. It's called a goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have a goal. And that goal is a very large number. It's $1 billion minimum. And people don't understand the difference between $1 million and $1 billion.
Oh, yeah.
Like, have you heard these?
No, but I mean,
if I gave you $5,000 a day.
Mm-hmm. That's more than $1 million a year.
No, yeah, but if I gave you $5,000 a day, I would give you $1 million in about 6 months. Mm-hmm. So I would have given you $1 million if I gave you $5,000 every day for about 6 months. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many days I would have to give you $5,000 to give you $1 billion?
It's years. Decades.
547 years.
Wow.
547 years versus 6 months.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. And it's hard to do. I thought, but I'm nowhere near that.
Yeah.
Like, I got to get busy. So that's what keeps me going.
That's cool. So it's like the intersection of appreciating where you are, but also still aspiring to go where you want.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I never did anything more, I'm happy. And I do have a sense of accomplishment. And I do think, I've done better than most, but I haven't done better than I could have. Yeah. And that's what drives me. Like, I compare myself with myself. And quite frankly, I'm a little bit of a letdown. I'm a procrastinator. I used to be. I'm getting better. So I just seek constant improvement. And to me, I have more potential than I think I can ever reach. So I just want to, I've set a goal. Let me get that goal. And I think I'll get there within the next 3 to 5 years.
Isn't that crazy? Like, I know that there are so many people that give up on their dream. They give up on their goal. Like, whatever they're set out to do, it gets too hard. And so they give up. But like what you're hearing, I have felt in my core for years. Like, I feel it should be a crime to not achieve something great with your life, because like you said, the man with no shoes, the man with no feet, there are people that would kill to have the life that you have right now. And so you're going to squander it away by either procrastinating or binge drinking or whatever the thing you do that keeps you from not being motivated to achieve your dreams. And so I love just making everyone pause and rewind what you just said, because I think that everyone has a dream and a goal and they think that it's too big or they're not going to get it. But if you don't go after it, you're never going to get the B. You're never going to get there. You're never going to get to the unicorn. Is that what you're doing? You building a different company? Several. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care how I get there.
Yeah.
Like, I could have, a bunch of companies that collectively are worth that, or one. I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm creating multiple companies.
That's awesome. I love that. I think it's so powerful to be around people too that have big dreams and big visions. Because I don't know about you, one of the things that early on I didn't have people that had bigger dreams and bigger goals. I came from a small town, parents were super poor. So it was like, once you got to a certain level, you're like, oh, you kind of sit back a little bit. I'm doing pretty good, until you get around other conversations like you're sharing. You get in a room with someone that's doing a couple million, you're doing a couple million, you think you're doing fine, until you get around the guy that's going for $1 billion. And I know you talk, I listened to you, one of my favorite podcasts you dropped was the end of last year. It was a solo bomb, I think you called it. And you talked about the 4 ways of getting what you want. And you talked about getting into groups and being around other people, whether it's yours or other groups. And I just want to know how that has been impactful for you in your life. Do you attribute being around other people, reading other books, being in programs, attribute that to your success?
1000%. Yes. Definitely it's who you hang around and who you associate with. Just like last week, I was on Necker Island with Richard Branson, and I'm sitting there, and he raised my thinking even more. You know, we're sitting there watching his space launch in a live stream up at this great house, you know, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, dude, this guy, like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I mean. Like, a lot of people are like, well, Brad, you know, you're being a little, you know, arrogant to think, you know, it's like, no, you don't understand. You hang around billionaires, and I guarantee you're probably going to be the fifth one or the sixth one. Mm-hmm. You hang around billionaires, your mind's going to expand, your thinking's going to increase, and you're going to probably be much better off than had you not hung around those people. And it's not just about money. It's about, you know, like ethics, you know. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but like, you know, I always tell people, I believe that men should pay for women, pay and protect for women. I don't agree with the today's nonsense, but I don't mind if that's the case. I know some women that, you know, they pay for their dudes, and I'm like, well, is that really a dude though? No, just joking. But I think men should pay the bills, and I don't care what the woman makes.
Yeah.
I don't care. If she makes money, good for her. But the man's job is to protect and pay for women and children. Is that old fashioned? Maybe. If you hang around people that don't believe in ethics, they don't believe in being faithful, they don't believe in, you know, protecting women or children or whatever, the next thing you know, you start to question. And the next thing you know, you start to, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm, you know, it's peer pressure, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So it's massively important who you hang around. What do they believe?
Yeah, because in the reverse, the same thing applies, right? You're hanging around with all those broke people, broke mindsets, broken ethics, morals, and that's who you become. And it's so interesting how it's a core thing that you hear over and over again about the people you hang around with. And people are like, oh, everybody says that, the sum of five people. I think it was originally a Jim Rohn quote, but it's so important. And at least for me, it's every single level. You almost need to reassess who you're with, because if you want to keep growing and striving, you got to go to Necker Island and have conversations with billionaires if that's what you're looking to do.
And you realize, man, you're small potatoes, my friend. Sometimes, you know, I'm not as guilty as others, but sometimes we get big heads. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of times people say, Brad, you're being really like overly humble, meaning, you know, who am I? What am I? Like, what are you talking about? People are like, come on, Brad, you know, you're like more famous than that. Because people will stop me at airports. Well, that's because I have a few followers. That's not because I'm anybody special. It's because I have some followers on social media. Mm-hmm. You know, if I saw Brad Pitt in the airport, I wouldn't stop him because I don't bother people. But like, I'd be like, hey, you know, it's because he's in movies.
Right.
So what?
Yeah.
You think Brad Pitt's better than you? I don't think people are better than us. I think they're ahead of us. Yeah. So if you want to catch up to them, right, learn from them, you know. But anyway, I don't remember what the question was.
That's okay. I do want to circle back though, because you mentioned in your training, like you've been doing some of the best training programs. You worked with Tony and you worked with Grant, and I saw Damon on your screen in the green room. What do you think it is about some of those names creating a training program as opposed to the thousands or maybe millions of people now that are trying to make money with these online courses? You think it's the visuals? You think it's those components that you mentioned? And do you think that even now, as noisy as the world is, that someone can still stand out with that type of program online and make bank?
100%. Number one, it's the four things. It's good content, repetition, practice, and accountability. It doesn't matter how you deliver those. You can deliver them manually, like in a live environment, and it works. Mm-hmm. You can deliver them virtually, and it works. It's going to work as long as you have those four ingredients. Most people that are out there selling courses, they don't have those four ingredients. They have a video that they're calling a course. Mm-hmm. There's no system, there's no repetition, there's no accountability, there's no practice. So my technology, LightSpeed, is a training system and it was designed to train people. It wasn't designed to play a video behind a paywall. So a lot of the guys that are out there making money right now, they're just good marketers. They're selling a damn video. So how do I make that a system? Well, you put it in a system. You can take the video and put it in a system, not just a online website. Then that's what most of those are.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people will be on Kajabi or Teachable or Thinkific. There's several of them out there. And really, they just allow you to upload your video, you know, upload a few documents, and then put a price tag on it and, you know, email it out to your friends as an offer. Which, again, I mean, theoretically, if somebody took that with repetition, practice, and accountability, it would still work. But people don't do that. They buy your video. Half of them don't log in.
I think it's 90%.
Yeah, they don't log in, first of all. Second of all, and when you ask them, hey, what happened? They don't say, I'm a dumbass. They say, yeah, I don't know. Her shit wasn't very good. And now you hurt your reputation. But the system is just good content, repetition, practice, accountability. LightSpeed happens to be built on those, and it happens to make that easy for people. And then we also built in interactivity. So interactivity is a key, because if I'm going to send 1 million people through a video and ask no questions and make no offers, I would be a fool. What people are doing now is they're selling you a video, and then 3 weeks later, or however many weeks, they send you another offer, and they nurture you and drip on you and all that. Why not ask questions in the course itself, in the video itself? Ask me questions that collects data, which is valuable, and then make offers based on that data. So I could literally bring in 10,000 people and sift them. This person's not good for the mastermind. This one would be perfect for the one-on-one coaching. This one's interested in, you know, the travel club, and literally embed the interactivity inside the course. It's more engaging, right? People can't cheat, number one. Number two, it does the marketing and selling for you if you're intelligent about it.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned books and mentors. What are some of the best ones you ever read? Recent or way back?
Well, to me, The 4 Agreements was a great one. Don Miguel Ruiz.
So good.
As a Man Thinketh is another one. Think and Grow Rich, obviously. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yep. That's a classic. So everyone should learn that one. The Power of Thinking Big.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone else has ever. That's one of my favorite top 3. David Schwartz. I don't know if anyone's ever mentioned that on a podcast when I've asked this.
There's another one called Psycho-Cybernetics.
I don't know that
by
one.
Maxwell Maltz, I believe. Psycho-Cybernetics. It's written by a plastic surgeon who witnessed when people thought their face changed, that they became better and different things would happen. So like if somebody has, like, you know, a huge nose or a wart or something that, like, in their mind is ugly, you know, they will act ugly. But when they go get that fixed, what changes? So this whole book is about psycho-cybernetics that really is about self-love, self-worth, you know, backs up everything I was saying with the Sacred Six.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you want to raise your net worth, folks. Trust me, raise your self-worth. I even saw one time where a guy was, you know, very influential over a group of coaches. And he said, hey, give me $25,000 and you can come to my house over the weekend and I'm going to teach you guys how to make so much money, way more than you're making now. It's $25,000 to come. Boom, sells out, $25,000. He shows up. Well, he invites me one time because he's going to make a VT and he wants me to see it so I can help him create a virtual version of it. So I go over there and I'm listening for a couple of days, and really all he taught them was to raise their price.
Oh, jeez.
That's it.
Wow.
And every single one of them raised their price and made 3 to 5 times more money than they were making before. Now, somebody could say, well, Brad, that's a ripoff. He charged them $25,000 to tell them to raise their price, but that's not what he did over 2 days.
Right.
He spent 2 days getting them to believe in themselves.
That they were worth it.
And he got them to feel like they were worth more than they were getting. And that was worth everything.
Yeah.
So again, it's perspective. You know, you can be in a bad situation and be happy, and you can be happy you can be pissed in a good situation. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's
I've totally seen it.
Happiness is a decision. It's not something you find. It's something you choose.
And I think if someone's listening and you you're like, oh my gosh, I resonate with that. Like, I'm in a great situation, but I'm not happy. You may want to look back and see like what is in your history, maybe your childhood. There's some trauma that you have to unpack so that you don't keep every single moment that's happy. You keep thinking it's bad or that it's not valued. Because I see that a lot of times with entrepreneurs. They're actually they have this like destination addiction where they're trying to achieve more because they're trying to fill some void that they're lacking inside of their soul. Yeah. So it's like, it's never enough and they're never good enough. And it reminds me when you were talking about the warts, there was this, it was on the internet. Did you see it? It was like a bunch of women. They had like 12 or 15 women. They had, they painted scars on their faces and they had them go into job interviews. And they said, we're going to put a scar on your face and see if you're treated any differently in these job interviews. And then right before they went in, they said, hang on, let us touch it up. And right when they did, they wiped it off. So there was nothing there. The prosthetic makeup was gone. Each one of these women went into the interview and reported that they were prejudiced, that they were treated poorly, because now all of a sudden, just like you were saying, their self-worth, their perception of themselves was lower. So they felt they were treated as such. I don't know if that just made me think of that. I think that's so important for people to realize what you're saying with the Sacred Six. It's like you've got to do the work within you if you want something different for your life.
Yeah, period. That's the best way to put it. You know, at the end of the day, that's in a nutshell, that's what it is.
Yeah. I'd love to ask you, this is a question I ask everyone that I have on the show. And it just is, if you wake up tomorrow, everything you've built, the companies, the platform, your name, all the connections in the network that you have, everything is gone. You wake up tomorrow, nobody's going to pick up your call. All you get to retain is the information. Your bank account, zero. You've got nothing left. You just get the information of what you've built to this point in your life. What would you do tomorrow to start building it all back?
The same thing that I do every day. Number one, when I wake up, I smile because I get another day. So I'm automatically optimistic from the beginning, because when I wake up, that is the gift. See what I'm saying? So tomorrow when I wake up and I have nothing, I have everything because I just woke up. So it's kind of a trick question if you think about it. So I would wake up with extreme gratitude, and then I would go out and just start introducing myself. Like, every dollar I've ever received has come from a relationship. So if you want more money, you just need more relationships. So if I woke up and realized everything was taken or just disappeared or whatever crazy shit happened, yeah, I would still be happy that I woke up. I get another day. Then I'd go to my core fundamental basics. Money comes from relationships. So I'd start going out and introducing myself, shaking hands. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. I would just start shaking hands, building relationships. And shortly enough, I'd have it all back and then some.
I love that. I love that. I think that's really great. Can you share with everyone, if they want to find out more about what you're doing with your training program, following you, your podcast, just let them know where to find all things Brad Lea.
Well, bradlea.com usually lists everything that I do and all the opportunities that I provide, because I'm showing people how to, get out of the rat race by making money. I think you need $300,000 to $500,000 a year to get out of the rat race, because you need little something to start investing. You know, a lot of people have these get rich quick bullshit schemes, which, I believe it's possible to get rich quick. And I think that's the best way to get rich, by the way, quick, but it's not as easy. But there are definite and easy ways to start making $300,000 to $500,000, which will start to get you out of the rat race. So you can find those on the website. You can find pretty much anything I do on my website, bradlea.com. But social media, Google. If you're interested in training your team, go to LightSpeed VT, like Victor Tango, lightspeedvt.com. We can help you with that. And I would highly suggest subscribing to Dropping Bombs. That's where you'll be next. That's right. Got to head over, leave a review for everyone. Thank you so much for this time. This was really awesome. I know you've provided so much value for everyone, so I hope you guys were taking notes and listening in. I think this is going to be one that people got to go back to and really listen. But just want to thank you for the time and all your knowledge and sharing it with our audience. Thanks for being here. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.